Steven, I think they're ready for us. You ready?
Yep.
So, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Zach Wilson Edition. I am one of your hosts of the show, Hayes, aka AO Shifty, with the homie, Steven at Steven_Springs. Before we get started, we do have to thank everyone because we have finally reached 100 subscribers on YouTube,
Hey,
which was something we have
shout
been
out to the
trying to do
homies.
for a long time. So, 100 subscribers is big for us, especially since we've been doing this for a little over a year. But a lot of this wouldn't be possible without the quick slants. So, Steven, what's been good with the quick slants?
Penn State wraps up the regular season this weekend against Michigan State. Final home game for a bunch of guys. Senior day. Um, Quick slants will be out. I don't actually know when I'll put it up. Probably Friday. Um, yeah, Friday probably seems like the best day. Try and wrap it up. Maybe put out tomorrow, Wednesday. Um, but obviously got a lot going on next couple of days. Boys wrap up on Friday, on Saturday, like I said, 4 o'clock FS1. New playoff rankings came out, so I'm going to discuss that as well. But yeah, 10-2. Hopefully, get to a New Year's Six game and finish 11-2 and catapult us into next season. Shout out to the
So,
homies. I do want to give a shout out real quick to James Franklin, Penn State's head coach. Got his
mm,
100th win last weekend.
that's
Um,
big.
First African American head coach in the FBS to win 100 games. So shout out to him. You know, people can say what they want about James Franklin and some of the lack of wins, if you will, over the years, but we obviously wouldn't be in the position we're in. 9-2, another 10-win season, maybe 11-win season, and a really good stretch of football over the next couple of years for us, 2 or 3 years for us. So big shout out to Coach Franklin on that one.
Shout out to Coach on that
Yeah.
one, especially because Steven has been talking about Coach Franklin and Penn State for years. So this year, how do you feel overall with how the year turned out? Of course, I know every single year Steven is hype in the beginning, but how would you say this year turned out for you guys?
Well, I don't know. There weren't really any expectations heading into the year because the last 2 seasons we've won 11 games. So I think the expectations were to be better than we were 4-5 in 2020 with a shortened season, and then we were ended up being 7-6 last year after starting off the season 5-0. So, um, I think the expectations were like there should never be less than 10 wins at Penn State, even on a down year, like maybe 9, but 10 wins is always the standard, and we're going to meet that this year. Obviously, our 2 losses are to two of the 3 best teams in the country, so
Yeah.
I don't want to say no shame in that because obviously we want to beat them, but all things considered, I'm pretty happy with 10-2. If when we get there, because I look at it like things could be a lot worse. Like there's 100 some odd teams that would gladly take a 10-2 season once, let alone
Mm-hmm.
like we've had this would be the third, fourth season that we've had 10 wins under Franklin. So I can't be I can't be too mad about it. Now, obviously, I want to beat
Yeah.
Ohio State and Michigan, but here's what it is. I'll gladly take 10 wins, move up in the top 10, finish maybe close to 5 with a New Year's Six win, and then like I said, catapult us into next season and hopefully have a nice playoff run over the next 2 or 3 years.
With the new quarterback. But
With
we'll go
yeah,
into
yeah.
just touching on some of the Twitter space, and we'll get into the crypto and finance stuff with the Twitter spaces. So again, I just want to say thank you. I don't think Stephen was on here, but 2 weeks ago we did a Twitter spaces that was 2 hours long. Um, this one was not 2 hours. It
That's
was
crazy.
an hour long, but so thank you to the ones that end up coming on to those because it was 2 new projects, especially with how the market conditions are going and segueing that into everything. The FTX shit just continues to get wild and crazy with everything going on. I know people continue to ask me, am I worried or concerned? No, because if you know me, I've been in this market since like 2016, 2017. So this is kind of just the way the cycles go, and I'll continue to hold on to things and start investing into new cryptos. But I don't want to focus too much on the crypto aspect today because I'll be able to touch on that again. I want to talk about big things that are coming up this week. So Best Buy just had their earnings, and it was a positive earnings, which was big, especially going into the holiday season. They were looking forward to that. Another one is Bob Iger, the homie himself, is
Oh
back at
boy,
Disney, which
yeah.
was a big thing. They were kind of surprised by it happening, but it was big that Bob Iger is back. So we want to see what ends up happening with them. A lot of the different production studios and companies that we know of were all created and watched over by Bob Iger. Another thing I want to just let everyone know about, some people are starting to say interest rates are going to start slowing down instead of it just continuing to increase the way it is. I don't necessarily believe that to be true. I think Jay Powell is going to continue increasing interest rates until they get this inflation under control fully. Some people say that it has peaked, but we'll see when the holiday season is fully over what they end up saying. And the final thing I do want to just end up letting everyone know about is just continue to pay attention to what's happening in the European markets, but also with REITs. So if you all can invest in houses themselves or apartment complexes, you can go into REITs. You can look that up on the stock market as well. So that's mainly everything, just touching on the crypto and finance side. Big stuff I wanted to talk about was sports for today. Whether we're going to touch on college football, we are going to touch on one of my favorite sporting events in the world that is happening right now. We'll talk about the NBA and we'll talk about the NFL. I'm going to start with the World Cup because it's really been pissing me off. Because I'm one that is this, I don't bet on a lot of different events, but one that I pride myself on is the World Cup. And it pisses me off so goddamn much when I have had 3 ties and you are not expecting 3 ties. They said the last time in the World Cup there was 1. And that was either like France and Denmark or 2 countries like that. We have had 3. And I don't give a damn about the U.S. when it comes to the World Cup because nobody is expecting them to do well. They tied with Wales. If you're tying with Wales and then your next game is against England, they are going to shit on you so bad, especially by the way England just destroyed Iran 6-2. And then on top of that, how the hell is Mexico and Poland tying? That was another one that I said, all right, there's not going to be 2 ties. Nope, they tied 0-0. How do you tie 0-0? That means y'all were just getting your cardio in the whole goddamn game. Like nobody was doing anything.
90 minutes of cardio.
90 minutes of cardio. And then the last one that made me mad was Denmark and Tunisia. So y'all just decided to tie 2. So 3 teams decided to tie. Then we had to get all the goals from goddamn Saudi Arabia, France, and then England. That's who you all gave us their goals by. And Argentina, you guys have a lot to prove because if you're losing to Saudi Arabia in your first game and you guys are believing that the 30-year-old, not exactly 30, but Lionel Messi is going to lead you guys and you can't even get past Saudi Arabia, that whole group believes that they can win if you guys can't even beat Saudi Arabia. So it's a lot that's going to be coming up because we have Brazil that's coming up in the next couple of days. We have Germany, which is another one that people are talking about. We have Belgium that'll be coming up as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing those. Switzerland comes up as well. Got to give a big kudos and shout out to the Netherlands because they did win. Again, England won. England's going to win that group. I can promise you all that. If y'all won 6-2 and then goddamn England, US can't even beat Wales, y'all are going to be fine. But the other topic as we continue on, Christian just being pissed off at people, is Zach Wilson. As much as I appreciate and love your brother-in-law, they got to do something with goddamn Zach Wilson because there is no damn way Zach Wilson is saying, yep, nope, the offense didn't do anything wrong. We didn't play a part in the reason why we just lost this damn game. What are your thoughts on the Jets? And also, what are your thoughts on the other Wilson at quarterback that is not good?
So who's the other Wilson?
Russell Wilson.
Oh yeah. We'll get to that. So that game was pretty bad. Jets Pats. The Jets, the Jets had 103 total yards. Like that, the Pats had 297. Like that's 103 yards in the NFL these days. It like seems just impossible to do. Impossible. Some teams have 103 yards after a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's been done, let alone 103 yards in a game. And you got 6 points. They had 6 first downs, they had 2 of them by way of penalties.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a first down until I think late in the second half. Like their first half, the first down in the second half, they didn't have to like almost end of the game. And then you lose on a 80-yard punt return for touchdown.
Yes, exactly.
It's funny. I was listening to the Dan Patrick show, or watching a recap of it, and he had Mark Sanchez on, former USC great, and former Jet quarterback, which, by the way, today was the 10-year anniversary of the butt fumble. So shout out to Mark Sanchez.
Shout out.
Like you got to own that moment. Like you are the starting quarterback for Jets.
Yeah.
Like it'd be different if you're the starting quarterback for the Panthers or the Browns or like even like the Vikings. Like you're the starting quarterback for the Jets in that like global market, not just like for the US, but a global market in New York. And for you to say just like no, like no, like do you think you let the defense down? No. That's all he said. It was just no. Like you have to say something of substance.
Yeah.
Because if you say no and just lingers, that's just so much worse. Because it's just gonna like stay there until next game. And then even if you have a bad game again, which by the way, the next game can't be nearly as bad as this one was. So
it has to be impossible.
Like, you have to say something. You just gotta say like that was tough. That was tough. Like, we didn't play well. We gotta do better. We gotta do X, Y, and Z better. It starts with me. Like, I'm a leader of this team. Leave it and then stop. Leave it at that. That's all you gotta say. And then everything else will come with it. But like, you can't just say, do you think you let the defense down? No. Like, yeah, I definitely think that he's entitled. He grew up with money. And Booger McFarland was saying,
like Booger. I know.
Yeah, Booger McFarland was saying literally the exact same thing on Monday Night Countdown. And Steve Young, who BYU alum, kind of chimed in and was like, that has no bearing on how he is now. Which, sure, like, I'm sure he's changed over the years, and we all know people who grew up with money, and like they're not self-entitled pricks now. Now we all also know people who grew up with money who are self-entitled pricks now. But like it has, if I'm gonna say it has no bearing, I get it, but like it does. Like, because you never had any responsibility, you never had to own up to anything, because everything was basically handed to you. So like even if you think the answer is no, like you can't say that. It's like when I get in an argument with my wife, like I know I'm right, and like I know what I want to say in my head. That's not what I'm going to say.
No.
I mean, like, you know what? You're right. That's on me. Like, even if I'm lying, like that's on me. Let's move on. I'll do better next time. I'll do better next argument. Whatever. I'll do better next week. But you gotta take ownership, man.
Yeah, you did.
The Jets are 6-4. It's not like they're 2-7. That would be a lot worse if they were 2-7. And he said that. And do you bench him? No, you don't bench him. Like that would just erode whatever confidence he might have left, which probably isn't a lot right now, and not a lot of confidence that Robert Saleh has in him. And he was non-committal to start playing him next week. Like he was like, yeah, we'll see. So I think you gotta own up to it. It's one of those things where like afterwards, gotta go in the locker room, practice or whatever, and be like, look, that's my bad. Like there's a big learning curve for all this, and it doesn't matter if you're the starting quarterback or you're the last guy. There's a learning curve to go into the league. Not that you and I have been there, but there's obviously a learning curve for those guys coming from Provo, Utah, and BYU to New York. It's different.
Big difference.
And Mark Sanchez was saying, I mean, he was in LA. He was in USC. There was no pro team there at that point. So USC was the pro team. So he's like, if anybody was able to handle going to New York, it was me. But going from Provo, Utah, BYU, like you're playing in the Mountain West, you're not in the SEC or the Big Ten or whatever. Like it's different. And then you're that guy thrusted into New York. You got to own it. And I know it's a learning curve, and that's part of what he went through on Sunday was definitely part of the learning curve. So you just hope that like he doesn't turn into a self-entitled asshole and says no, like they got to do their job, like whatever. So that was not a good look for him whatsoever. Russell Wilson, whatever, dude, he'll be fine. He's still got more bathrooms in his house than touchdown passes. So
he does.
We're all right. He's all right, dude.
My big thing with Zach Wilson is the receivers are not starting to like him. And that's not good. No, it's not at all.
Especially when you have great receivers like that too.
Exactly. And we've seen what Joe Flacco can do with those same exact receivers. And that was the big thing. Since it is Zach Wilson's team, he's the one that's going to be getting paid more. and they drafted him high, you expect him to be able to live up to it and for things to happen. No, it really looks like Joe Flacco should be there. And when you look at all the people that they picked instead of, that they could have picked instead of Zach Wilson, it's so bad. Yeah. Like, you look at every single one, any of those picks would have been better than Zach Wilson.
And the AFC East, the Dolphins are 7-3, Bills are 7-3, Jets are 6-4, and the Pats are 6-4. So it's not like they're out of it by any stretch of the imagination. So like, they still got ways to go. I mean, there's still 7 games left. So like, they got plenty of opportunities to win the division and make the playoffs, so they don't win it and be a wild card. But it starts with him, and like, just like own up to it, man. Like, man up.
Yeah.
Like, even people, again, where else can you work at? Where else can you work at? Like, if I screwed up on a project that like that cost my company, hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions of dollars, and like, it was like, and they were like, do you think you could have helped the marketing team? No, bro. Go pack your bag, Steven.
Get out.
Get the fuck out of here. Here's your severance package for 2 months. Get out of here, bro. Here's your dental plan. Rip it up. Done. No way, dude. I would be fired immediately.
Exactly.
That's unbelievable. That's just another example of that. But yeah, gotta own it.
That was one of the big things that you just realized, because the locker room just didn't seem happy about it at all. And I wanted to end up.
Also, actually, I want to say something real quick. You look mad comfortable right now.
Yo, it is mad comfortable. So different.
Yeah, it's you were standing before, right?
So I was sitting in like a bar stool. It was higher up,
but that hurt like shit.
Exactly.
Creeping over a little bit, with the back hurting a little bit. My man's got a swivel chair. The mic's in a good spot. His arms are rested. Man, I feel you.
Yo, it's very different. Whenever when it starts to be lighter outside, I can end up like discussing what's going on outside, because I'm overlooking like one of the cities in downtown, so I can see
where you at
crazy
again?
stuff that. So right outside DC, so downtown, like Silver Spring.
Okay.
So it's been cool. I've been here going on 2 weeks now. Wow. So this will be like a different vibe, and I can do a lot more shows from this location than just sitting up there. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, staying in the AFC East, was actually the one and only Matthew Judon, because he's having a season as well. And of course, some people are starting to talk about saying he could be the defensive player of the year. Only thing is, you have to compete with Micah Parsons with that. But that was something else I wanted to bring up. And for fantasy wise, but also in real world life, it doesn't seem to matter who's the running back in the backfield for the Bengals, because whoever's back there, you're telling me 4 or 5 touchdowns Joe Mixon got, then Samaje Perine comes up with 3 touchdowns. And most of these touchdowns are not rushing touchdowns. They're receiving touchdowns. All 3 of Samaje Perine, a.k.a. James, touchdowns were from receptions. And he didn't even have that many yards. So that was something. And then the other part, too, that is Brandon Ayuk did the same exact thing. He maybe had 3 receptions or 4 receptions under 40 yards, had 2 touchdowns. Yeah. So it just shows you, like, you can be in the right situation, but if they didn't have those touchdowns, their fantasy game isn't that much. But in terms of like real life stuff, it meant a lot for their team. And segueing into that, I wanted to go into the picks. This week, we might actually hear Steven say some stuff when it comes to a certain team.
Nope.
But
I know you're talking about. I'm still not doing it. I don't give a fuck who they're playing.
But so we have a couple of games that come on Thanksgiving, which are going to be big ones to end up just discussing and going over. But I do want to say, after 9 weeks, just to give everyone a heads up, because I'm splitting the season in half, which was 2-3 weeks ago. But the total after the 9 weeks, and I'll do a final total of the regular season. But the total after 9 weeks, when I did this, I was 75-61, and Steven was 81-55.
Get it?
I know.
Get it? Let's get it. I know. Also, my fantasy team, not in our league, but my other one, 10-1 right now.
Really?
Yeah, you boys. It's also.
Don't tell me it's 3-4 teams.
6. Let me tell you this team real quick. It's a 6-team league, so it's, I get it. So I had to pick up Daniel Jones because both my quarterbacks were on bye week, but I got Tua and Gino as my quarterbacks.
Oh,
I got Saquon. I got Nick Chubb. I got Stephon Diggs. I got AJ Brown, Travis Kelsey, Amari Cooper, Rams defense, which isn't that great, and Tyler Bass. On the bench, I got Travis Etienne. I got Kareem Hunt. I can do some things with him. Got Claypool, hoping he can make some moves now.
he needed
Kenneth
to do
Walker
something.
and Kyle Pitts is on the IR, so I got to find another backup tight end. But yeah, your boys cranking out some 10-1 record, man. I've
That's good.
never had that before.
That's wild. Yeah, those records are good. And I'll say the same thing that I heard this fantasy football podcast talk about. They didn't want to say his name, but Voldemort's supposed to be coming back within 2 weeks. So that's something that'll be big for Donovan Peoples-Jones and then Amari Cooper and Nick Chubb, having Voldemort back in the backfield for them to hopefully be able to boost it up, not necessarily for this year, but years going forward, especially since they paid him all that guaranteed money. What's crazy is it seems like you are heavy in the running backs for your 10-1. And what's crazy, a lot of times when I was doing my leagues, I was heavy in running backs. But this year, my best league that I'm in, I did a heavy in the tight ends. So I have Travis Kelsey and Mark Andrews. So a lot of times I'm doing well with that. And then Austin Eckler was like the first pick.
Yeah, I think a lot of the running backs I'm not saying you, but like you choose now these days, they can all catch. So you can put them in the flex. You can have multiple like those, RB1 guys in the flex if your receivers are, just kind of casual guys. But yeah, a lot of those running backs now, even guys like Nick Chubb, he doesn't get a lot of receptions, but you can still put him in the flex and still get, probably 12 to 15 points, if not more, some of those receptions. So shout out to the hands team.
Yep. So shout out. So first game on Thanksgiving, we have Bills Lions. So you got
this is a good lineup, by the way.
it is. It's way better than past
this is a very
years.
good lineup. I'm going with the Bills. Lions are 4-6.
I know they win randomly and they lose randomly.
I'm looking. It's a weird game. I think the Bills are I think that Vikings game is a wake up call, maybe. But it's a tough week for them. So I would not be surprised if the Lions win, but I'm picking the Bills because I think they're the better team.
So I have the Bills too. Josh Allen seems to be fine with his elbow injury, but we'll keep track of that. Yeah,
that's
Giants Cowboys.
Also a weird game because both those teams could swing one way or another. Cowboys just had this bomb of a game against the Vikings.
They did.
Vikings had a massive hangover though, like massive hangover against after that Buffalo win. It's in Dallas, of course. Man, Giants has lost to the Lions on the road or at home. I'll go with the Giants.
Wow.
I'll go with the Giants. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be low scoring. I don't think the Cowboys are going to put up 40 points again. Actually, no, I'm going to go with the Cowboys because the Giants are down like entire team basically. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys.
I'm going with the Cowboys just because Tony Pollard clearly seems to be the running back of the future for the Dallas Cowboys. And Dak Prescott continues to do his pregame workout routine. So until he stops doing it, I'm gonna keep going with them. Vikings, Pats.
Vikings. I don't think they dropped 2 in a row.
No, I had the Vikings on that one too. The Patriots they're not the Patriots of old, so you never know when those wins are going to come. And we need to see more from the backfield. They seem to only be using Ramondre Stevenson more than Damian Harris, but we'll have to see how that goes. Next one is Bucks and Browns, which is not as easy.
I'll go Bucks. Yeah, sure. Confidence picks very low on that one.
I know, exactly. I have the Bucks in that one too. Until Baltimore comes back, I'm going to just choose the Bucks. Bengals, Titans.
Weird game. Bengals, much like the Cowboys and the Giants, that team can go like Burrow can go for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Still don't have Jamar Chase. Beat up on the Steelers last weekend, but gave up 30-something points to the Steelers. Titans, again, another team. Is Derrick Henry going to have 50 yards? Is he going to have $185?
Exactly.
It's in Tennessee. Not that matters. Titans.
So I got the Titans in that one too. Yeah, it is. And the biggest thing that I've realized, there's only been one or two teams that really have been able to stop Derrick Henry. The Titans do not like to pass the ball, but as of recent, they started to go focus on Treylon Burks because that's going to be the receiver of the future. If you guys paid attention in the beginning, I did say pay attention to Treylon Burks. He just needs to stay healthy. But I have the Titans in that one. Bengals, I can see putting up a couple of touchdowns. And then, of course, Derrick Henry will probably get into the end zone. Next one will probably be obvious, but I'll still ask it. Dolphins, Texans.
Dolphins.
So I have the Dolphins in that one. Bears, Jets.
Big game for both teams.
It is.
Don't know the status of Justin Fields. I'm pretty sure I saw he's playing, but I don't know for sure yet. Up in Jersey, I'll go with the Jets. I think they're the better team. If Justin Fields isn't playing, I think that's a obvious pick of the Jets. But I'll go with the Jets because I think they're the better team overall, even with Zach Wilson playing like dog shit.
So that's what I was going to say. I'm choosing the Jets, but if Zach Wilson is playing, the Bears could easily win. The Bears really recently don't know how to win games. They lose a lot of games, but they put up a lot of style points. Cole Kmet's coming alive. Donald Mooney's starting to show himself. And then Justin Fields is clearly an athlete. You can't even really call him a quarterback. He's a straight athlete. But I have the Jets, although I want Joe Flacco to play. Commanders and Falcons.
Commanders.
I have the Commanders in that one too. Shout out to Cordero Patterson for his kick return. Broncos, Panthers.
Broncos Nation, let's ride, baby.
So this is the first time I am getting on board Broncos Nation, let's ride. I don't trust anything with the Panthers. I really think Baker Mayfield's career might be done.
It's not like I trust the Broncos that much more though.
No, I know. It's not going to be a good game. The next one will be a better game, especially because this team, and Steve and I could both say it, they've done a lot better this year when it comes to closing out games. Ravens, Jaguars.
I'm picking the Jags. I feel like this is one of those random games during the year that the Ravens should not lose, but they lose. I'm going to say it's a shootout too. I'm going to say like 45 to like 40, something like that. Just one of those random games that the Ravens should not lose, but somehow they end up losing. And Trevor Lawrence has like 350 and like 4 touchdowns.
I can see something like that, especially because it's in Florida too. So I could see that. Of course, you know who I'm just going to go for, the Ravens. They've been doing better this year, so I hope they can end up finishing out the season the same way they started so they can get that home field advantage for the first game and then just see what happens in the playoffs. But they don't have any receivers, so I'm not too confident. Chargers, Cardinals.
Both teams have fallen apart completely.
They have.
But the Cardinals have fallen apart more. Kyler Murray, don't know if he's going to be back. It doesn't look like it. Colt McCoy is no bueno. So I'm going with the Chargers, even though the Chargers blew that one against the Chiefs. I'm going with the Chargers.
So I got the Chargers in this one too. I don't trust the Cardinals. I only trust DeAndre Hopkins. Nobody else you can really believe in. Rondell Moore is injured, clearly. I don't know what's happening with them. Seahawks, Raiders.
Seahawks.
So I have the Seahawks in this one. And I don't know if you've heard this, but I'll let all the listeners know. They have said that the reason why McDaniels is still there as the coach is because they're cash poor. And that's so terrible to hear because they had to deal with John Gruden. And then apparently they have like another coach that they're still paying out too. Of course, you remember Mike Mayock. They're probably still paying out his contract. They're paying so many different contracts. And you can't just let McDaniels go because then you'll have to pay him out and then pay another coach. But they need to change something around because shit's not happening there. Darren Waller is still injured. So who the hell knows what's going to happen? You paid all this money to Derek Carr, paid all this money to Devontae Adams. They said the AFC West is going to be the best division, and there's some shit. So I'm absolutely going with the Seahawks in that one. Next game, Chiefs, Rams.
I'll go Chiefs. I think they're probably the best team in football right now.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs. Shout out Travis Kelce. 3 touchdowns. Saints 49ers.
Niners. I like the way they're playing right now with McCaffrey putting up a lot of points.
It's a simple answer here because the Saints are just trying to get through. Here's another one that Steven brought up. Name another place where you can lose your job because of an injury outside of this. So I have the 49ers. Packers, Eagles.
Oh man, I feel like this is a game that Aaron Rodgers is going to go off against your boys. I feel like this is one of those games. Eagles should have a lot of confidence, though. The game
They
against
beat the Colts by 1 point.
the game against the Colts wasn't great, but like, you got to win those ugly games, though.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is a game where Aaron Rodgers, prime time, Sunday night. I feel like this is one of those games where he goes off. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pick the Packers in Green Bay. Rodgers 5 touchdowns.
So what's crazy is I have the Packers too. I don't trust the Eagles with
Of course
this
not.
one after what happened to the Commanders, then what happened with the Colts. Aaron Rodgers knows how to pick apart defense, although Darius Slay, Bradbury,
Yeah,
and
the secondary is probably the best in football. But
exactly.
Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. So like I've never counted him out. Much like Tom Brady,
No,
like I'm never gonna count those two guys out until they're literally dead or retired.
exactly. And look what Christian Watson's been doing. So, and we don't know what'll happen. That's always been the thing with the Eagles. They can lose over the top. They know how to keep guys in front of them, but when they get behind them, it's a different story. Going into the final game, Steelers Colts.
I'm picking the Colts. Someone said this game should be flexed to Comedy Central. So I'm going with the Colts. I just don't like. I haven't. It's not even like again. Like the Steelers just are not that good.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have moments, but like 2 or 3 of them a game. Najee Harris cannot get anything going on the ground, which sucks because they're probably going to waste his career.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett was a terrible pick. It was an awful pick. He's just not ready. I don't know why Trubisky is not playing. I mean, I think Trubisky gives us a better chance. Pickett just like he's just so inconsistent. Sucks because George Pickens is great. They only target him a handful of times. Our defense, injuries, getting older. TJ Watt had a unbelievable, like alien-like interception against the Bengals. But like, not it's one of those things where you can't ask your defense to play offense and play offense for 60 minutes. So I'm going with the Colts. I don't think they're a better team. I think the Steelers probably have better talent and everything, but I just don't trust the Steelers whatsoever.
Yeah.
Not at all.
So I'm going with the Steelers in this one, but I do want to bring up the Colts because someone else that Steven has talked about on the show and also on the Quick Slants was Paris Campbell. And when Paris Campbell was just coming out, Steven was one of the main ones saying, pay attention to him. He's someone that you should look out for, especially as a Colts fan. It's always
the players that have done incredible things against Penn State.
State, exactly. Yeah. And that was something. The other one is Mr. Pierce. So Alec Pierce is a big guy. He has a great catch radius. They just need to figure out something to do up there because they have Pierce, they have Campbell, and then they have Pittman. And then you also have Taylor. You have a recipe for a good team. You just have to figure out how the hell you guys are going to have a good team overall. But that's all we have for today. What you got?
Just big shout out to Thanksgiving being here. It's like that time of year, great time of year. A lot of good sports on as well with all the rivalry games in college football this weekend. Basketball is in full swing. College basketball is in full swing. The NBA still not watching. Could care less right now.
I don't care.
Shout out to AD though. Anthony Davis is playing really well in LeBron's absence over the last 5 games. I think he's averaging like 32 and like 15. So good for him. Shout out to Coach Franklin, 100 wins.
Shout out.
Shout out to thankful for the kids, thankful for my wife for putting up with me. Mason is still not a fan of me. Did I tell you that he's not a fan of me right now? He still does not like me. We do like they have like a turkey with like all like the feathers on it, and like they put things that they're thankful for. I'm still not on Mason's thing. And we're doing it every day until from like November 1st until Thanksgiving. Mia put me on there, but I'm still not on Mason's thing. And it's been 22 days now. So I'm still not on his. Yeah, he is grandma twice. Way to go. He's got a bunch of other shit. Like he put Penn State on there, so it kind of matters. But maybe one day.
No.
shout
one day you'll be big.
Yeah, shout out to all the homies though.
Hey, shout out. So mine is super excited. I've been preaching about this, talking about this. This is damn near like my Christmas. Having the World Cup happening right now, with having NFL happening, with being able to go into college football, with the NBA being on the back burner for me, with having Aaron Judge become the MVP. with just seeing the stupidity that just happened with Saudi Arabia and Argentina, it's just going to be a recipe for a wild ass November and December if this is how it starts. And then on top of that, the Rams go and waive Darrell Henderson. So you really don't know what's going to happen this time of year. And that's the exciting part about sports. We have football and we have the World Cup on Thanksgiving. And then, of course, Christmas, we have all the NBA games. We have different teams that are winning now in the NBA too, although I'm not watching it because there's nothing right now that I can genuinely pay attention to outside of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown going off most nights. Everything else is who the hell knows what's going to happen. So shout out to that. Shout out to Thanksgiving. Shout out to me moving and getting the new place. That's another big thing. So we'll bring a lot of stuff, and shout out to everyone out there that got us to 100 subscribers. Took a minute, but we did it. I know. So,
it did take a minute, but we'll be all right.
It did. So until next time, we out.
Peace.